Erica, I have a composite of someone I'd like you to have coach.
Cool.
So we'll give her the name of Crystal, and she has wonderful ideas, which she puts in notebooks. She's written 5 screenplays, but she ultimately feels like an imposter, especially since she hasn't been able to get any producers interested in her work, and she's had no luck with screenwriting contests. Her goal is to be a Hollywood screenwriter. Crystal has always done incredibly well at everything she's undertaken. She's a perfectionist, somewhat competitive, but her sense of self-worth is wrapped up in always being the best and always winning, which she's usually been successful at. She's feeling more and more that maybe her work isn't creative and interesting enough, and it's not original possibly. So she's feeling useless and maybe that she should stop, quote unquote, wasting her time trying to pursue this career, but she doesn't know what else to do. So how would you begin to work with Crystal?
Crystal, let's do this. Well, the very first question I would ask her, and I do have a process that I take my clients through that I'll share with you, but the very first question I would ask Crystal is, do you want to quit? Right?
Okay.
She's talking about potentially throwing in the towel. She doesn't think her work is getting her where she needs to go or where she wants to go, and so she's considering doing something else. Is that a true desire? Or is it, I don't feel like I'm good enough, I feel like I failed, therefore I should do something else? You know, I think, I joked with one of my clients because the other day she had a moment of like, oh, I want to quit. You know, I think so many of our artists feel that from time to time on their journey. And then last week she got a very incredible audition opportunity. And she was really excited about it and she put so much work into it. And my whole comment to her was, oh, so you don't want to quit? So it's like somewhat of a rhetorical question because I think I know the answer is like, no, I don't want to quit. But I do think it's important for someone to say that out loud, you know, for someone to really be honest and come to terms with what you truly desire. I mean, if you truly do desire to quit and try something else, that's okay too, but then we don't need to work together, right? So I think number one is really asking Crystal, is this something that you want to keep doing? Like, do you still have that whisper? Is that dream still calling to you? Is that why you're coming to me? Probably, you know? So I think that's like important to establish right off the bat. And then before we dive into strategy and what's working and what's not working and what are new strategies you could be doing, I spend the first usually hour and a half with my clients on what is their belief system. What are the fears and doubts that are really holding you back? And I actually go through this in my book as well. You know, my book kind of goes through a lot of the things that I do with my clients. So the first thing I will ask Crystal is, what do you want? So you say you want to be a Hollywood screenwriter. What does that look like? Do you want to sell scripts? Do you want to be a staffed writer on a show? Do you want to be a show creator? What does that really look like for you? Like, what is your dream? Do you want to be winning Emmys? You want to be working on features? And so I want to hear about it. I want to reconnect to her dream. I want to hear everything that she wants. And I would ask her, like, write a bulleted list of everything you desire. And we're just going to put out of our heads right now that maybe we don't think it's possible. We have no idea. It's not really happening. Just put all of that out of your head. Right now, I just want to know, what do you want? If you could have your dream, what is it that you desire? Because once we get really clear on what it is that she wants, that can really help us form a better strategy that's going to be more tailored to what she actually desires, right? Instead of creating a strategy based off of what other people are doing, right? I could easily go, oh, Crystal, you want to be a screenwriter? Here's the screenwriter path. Let's do this. No, I want to know, what are her specific dreams? Maybe she even has specific dreams of certain types of stories or certain genres. You know, like I've worked with some screenwriters who are super into the horror genre and that's all they want to do. So I want to hear about it. And so once she writes this list of everything that she desires, then I go, okay, now tell me every doubt and fear you have about that list. And we really need to examine, what are the beliefs in your mind right now in relation to this dream that you're trying to make happen? Because that belief system is going to control what you do next or what you've been doing, right? You know, like for example, when you said she hasn't had any luck with producers. My question would be, how many did you ask? If you don't believe your success is inevitable, that list is probably 5 to 10 people long. My clients are emailing 250 people, right? And so your belief system behind everything is going to control the actions you take and then inevitably the opportunities you get from those actions. You know, like a lot of people, and I've struggled with this myself. A lot of us, we stop short because we think it's not working, or we feel rejected, or we feel discouraged. And so we're not really going the extra mile. You know, we're not really taking those risks. We're not really doing everything we could be doing because we feel deflated. And that, you know, those discouraged beliefs, they will impact the lack of action that's happening. So I would take her through that list, and I would want to hear what's every fear. I was going to say fear and doubt in the same word. What is every fear? What is every doubt that comes up for you when you look at this list? And then we take every fear on that list and we flip it to create an affirmation so that your new belief system becomes the opposite of what you believed. So for example, if Crystal's like, well, I have a fear that this will never work out for me. Okay, what do you wish you believed? Well, I'm being Crystal here. Well, I wish that I believed that it would definitely work out. Okay, that becomes the new belief. My success is inevitable, right? And so we're flipping the fears. And so then at the end, you have these two lists side by side. You've got all the fears and doubts, and then you've got the opposite, you know, essentially affirmations of the new beliefs. And I always say, when you look at these two lists side by side, if you looked at them as two different people, person A and person B, what kind of career would person A have? With this list of fears and doubts, that's their belief system. What kind of career do you think they're going to have? And it's usually, well, they probably won't get very far. They're probably going to struggle. And then what about person B? These affirmations, this new belief system, what kind of career do you think they're going to have? And, you know, it's usually, they're going to kick butt. They're going to do great. And the whole point of this is not to say you can never have these fears again. You know, I think the doubts and the fears, they're always going to be there. They might change over time, but the point is we want the second list to be in the driver's seat. So the fears and doubts, it's okay to have them. They're still going to hang out in the back seat of the car, but we want the affirmations, the new list, the new beliefs driving the show. And once you build that foundation and you really get clear about the belief system that you currently have and, you know, the belief system that you really need to move forward, then we can start to examine the strategy. Then I want to know, like Crystal, okay, tell me how many producers you've reached out to. Tell me how many agents and managers you've reached out to. Have you tried to get representation? Tell me, you know, I want to hear everything that she's done, and we can take a look about, okay, well, here's what I think a better strategy would be for you based on what you told me you desire. Right? And then we can build a new strategy from there. But what I find, you know, especially you said that Crystal is perfectionist. And I just got to do a clubhouse the other day with someone who specializes in perfectionism. And I really learned a lot. You know, perfectionism holds us back. It's definitely one of those things that holds us back. You know, what we fear, and she was saying a lot of times it's also tied to self-worth. Like we think that we're only worthy if we're perfect, if our work is perfect. And if I feel like my work isn't perfect, then I'm not worthy. And if I never put my work out there or take the risks with my work that I really need to be taking, I don't have to confront whether I'm worthy or not. Right? So tying your self-worth to perfectionism, we would dive deep, you know, into all of those things and take a look. And, you know, the other thing I would say, I just wanted to add, because you mentioned the festivals, there is no one way to succeed in Hollywood, right? And so if festivals is one door that you're knocking on, it's okay if it's not leading anywhere. There are still a million other doors that you can knock on. So I don't think that any single door is the be-all, end-all. You know, we don't have to create the story in our mind, and that's what we do. When we have a rejection, we create a story in our mind about what it means. So I would want to know, hey, Crystal, you haven't succeeded with festivals. What are you telling yourself that means? So really diving deep into how you feel about what's been happening and how we can work on changing it, if that makes sense.
It does. Do you think people that fail are too busy saying no or too busy saying yes? Because you know how Shonda Rhimes talked about she had a year of saying yes?
Yeah.
And I think that's great. But in some ways you could say yes to things that could give you busy work too. But do you think as a rule, though, most people who fail, they haven't said yes enough?
I don't think I would I usually don't like to make blanket statements over things like that. I call it absolutes, saying always or never, because I don't think anything is the same for everybody. So I think some people have trouble saying no, and some people have, trouble saying yes. And it just, has to do with your specific situation. I had a client she was an actress and she already booked a lot of television. She had like 50 or so episodes already under her belt. At the co-star recurring level, maybe one or two guest stars, I forget. Maybe it was just all co-stars. And she really wanted to work on her next level. And so she ended up getting new representation. But one of the biggest things I worked with her on once she got this higher level representation was saying no to auditions and really getting clear about what her next level looks like and what she wants to say yes to and what she doesn't want to do anymore, what was part of her old level. So I think either way, I think people hold themselves back with the yes and the no.